and he would become Batman. I don't really know what powers Batman had either, but he had a cool car. So together we formed the Beiser Legion of Honor. And we were heroes with superpowers, and we would make up stories where we would defend the causes of the weak people and deal out justice to playground bullies and catch the thief that had stolen our lawnmowers at that age, and crush the abuser of their dogs, our neighbor who would always beat their dog, and protect America from the rotten communists and all the evildoers who were sending nuclear power over, and I'd fly up and away and stop them in mid-air over the ocean and crash them into the ocean. And I loved that whole idea. I kind of got that, I guess. As a kid, my dad would talk about Glad Tidings Church. He'd gone here in the 40s and experienced God here in a dramatic way in his life. When he'd talk about Glad Tidings, he had glory in his eyes. I mean, there was something awesome in his eyes. I could remember seeing it just now. When I became a pastor of this church, I wanted to see this church restored. I had a desire in my heart to make every component of this Glad Tidings to be attractive, to be relevant, to be forward-moving. I wanted to see this church rebuilt, and I wanted every service to be a home run hit, and I wanted to knock it out of the park whenever I preached, and I wanted every phone call and every handshake to lift people up with the power of God, and I felt like I could do it all by myself, up, and away. I had a routine. I was the only one working here at the time, and my routine list went something like this. If you wondered what pastors do, I'd start with Sundays and Wednesdays, and I'd put my messages together. They start with an outline. Each message that I preach takes about 8 hours, sometimes 10 or 12 hours. And I'd build my outline, and then I'd cross-check my references in the Scripture. And I'd create illustrations. Back in those days, I was still using books. Now we don't use books much anymore. And I created books. This is a book, in case some of you don't forgot. This is a book. Just kidding. I'd create illustrations, I'd find videos to illustrate points, I'd look up commentaries and try to make every point relevant and practical and memorable. I'd practice my delivery. If you came back by the church office in those days, you could hear me preaching at nothing. I'd preach in an empty room as if it was filled with people. I did everything I could to make my messages exciting and memorable and challenging and practical. And there'd be something like PB's Perfect Pathway to Powerful Purpose. And I'd put all those P's in order, and then I'd do all the work on my desk, and I'd pay bills, and I'd answer phones, and I'd respond to emails. And then after doing that, I'd do all the other paperwork, like get together the programs and align everything in order and put in the proper clip art. And some of you don't even know what clip art is, but it's back in the day we used to use it. And then I'd photocopy everything, including the inserts and the handouts for classes and all those kinds of things. And then I'd work on pageantry, because Larry Titus had told us a key to church growth is pageantry. So we'd hang banners and make canopies and put out lights and do chairs. And one time I rode a motorcycle down the middle aisle. Remember that? Anybody remember that? As the music blared Born to Be Wild. I had just learned how to drive it. I wasn't very wild. We've had angels fly in on a zip line to illustrate a point when Mary was visited by the angel. Or sometimes we just flew them in because we needed to shake a message up. Most of all, we used Krispy Kreme donuts. Lots of people love the Krispy Kremes, and they ate hundreds of dollars worth of Krispy Kremes. Somebody came up to me and says, "Pastor, I know how you're building this church, Krispy Kreme donuts." We'd rearrange chairs, we'd do the banners, we'd try to figure out whatever we could do to shake the place up and do something amazing. After that, I'd work on music, because in those days I was the only music guy here, and I'd play the piano, and Jim would play the drums, and I don't even know if I think Danny, sometimes he would play the bass, and we would try to pull it together. We had 2 or 3 in the worship team, and we'd try to fit things together, and one time somebody came up to me and goes, "Oh, I just really like this home feeling I get." Like, what do you mean? The music, it's not really good. I go, "Oh, bless you. Thank you for all that hard work I put into this." Then lastly, on Fridays, I'd make sure the building was cleaned, and Teen Challenge was helping me clean the building, but they'd miss some things, and I'd vacuum after Wednesday nights and set up rooms for Sunday school class. I'd swing by the hospital for a visit, visiting someone's sick aunt or some ailing child. I'd do whatever I could do to make Glad Tidings. I mean, after all, I was an amazing pastor, and I could do it all. And then, right, the last thing I'd do every Friday when I'd come back from the hospital visits or visiting people in their homes, like Dot Harchie or some of the people that were not able to come to church anymore and had this little portable communion thing. I'd take the communion thing in and offer them communion. And then I'd take a hefty trash bag and I'd go into the parking lot. And I would think, Pastor Forrest, you are an amazing man. You can do it all. In fact, I think I basically thought I was super pastor. I thought, I could do anything. And as I stand there in the backyard, working with my cape and trying to figure out what in the world's going on, I said, Lord Jesus, I am an amazing. I'm up and away with my time. Check out this cape recently. I was an amazing pastor. I thought I could do it all. One Friday, I was there standing in the parking lot picking up trash, and this is what I heard: Forrest, you're an idiot. I thought, that's not God. God comes to lift us and build us up and encourage us. He goes, Forrest, you are an idiot. I go, excuse me? I said, I have made the programs. I have set up the worship team. I have done my sermons. I have cleaned the auditorium. I've done pageantry. I've answered phones. I've paid bills. I've visited the sick. And he said, you're an idiot. You're killing yourself. And by the way, you're neglecting your beautiful wife and children.